Hello, thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Datadog's 10-minute talk show, Pup Corner. I'm Riley Stefano, the recruitment marketing manager at Datadog, and each month I will be interviewing employees around the world to learn about the different projects that they work on, the challenges that they solve, advice that they have, and so much more to give you the inside look into #Datadog life. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by two members of my own team, Kira Busman and Ryan Andaluz, two recruiting managers for our sales org here at Datadog, who will pull back the curtain on a day in the life of a recruiter, the candidate journey from interview to close, and what they both look for in candidates. So Kira and Ryan, thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
Excited to be here.
So I would love to hear a little bit about each of your backgrounds. What led you into the world of recruiting and how long have you been with us here at Datadog? Kira, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, happy to. So I landed at Datadog just shy of 3 years ago. At the time, we were shy of about 500 employees, so quite a bit has occurred since then. My journey in recruiting started post-grad. As many friends of mine joke, very few of us actually major in recruiting and didn't know too much about it in college. But was looking for a career where I could apply primarily my East Coast rigor, my hunger, my dedication with my ability to build relationships and feel my impact directly head on. I was fortunate enough to have a few incredible mentors, one in particular who said, "Hey, have you thought about recruiting?" So from there, I joined a small subset of a large recruitment agency, which at the time was still very much in its infancy. And through no shortage of discipline and grit, built their cloud sales recruitment arm. And that was my introduction to recruiting. So by the time I left over 4 years later, there were about 10 recruiters on my team and generated some of the highest business for the agency.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, we're glad to have you here building our enterprise sales team, which is so exciting. And Ryan is working on building out our commercial sales team for the US. Ryan, how long have you been here at Datadog and how did you kind of get started in this world of recruitment?
Well, I've been at Datadog since February of this year, actually. But I've been in the recruiting business for longer than I care to admit, but probably around 15 years. Similar to Kira, I stumbled into the recruiting world mainly because I went into a recruiting agency to have the agency represent me for a potential entry-level marketing job. And I built a relationship with the recruiters there to the point where I was like, this seems like it would be a really cool job to get involved with. They actually introduced me to somebody else on the IT staffing side and fell into IT staffing. It was an interesting time. It was right after a major recession when technology was definitely not the hot ticket. But I really learned my chops and learned how to really run a full desk, which really is a sales job. And with that one particular job, I went from an entry-level recruiter to many years later was moved from Southern California to Boston to manage a recruiting team. And I took those relationships over into building a boutique staffing business that was specific for early and mid-stage cybersecurity and software startups. Did that over the last 4 years. And through that, actually had made relationships with somebody who ultimately became a sales director at Datadog. And so when the opportunity presented itself in February to have someone lead the commercial sales team for the Americas and build out not only Boston, but Denver, they reached out to me directly. And now I'm here.
Look at that. It's all about who you know, the networking side of the business. I absolutely love it. So I'd love to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit more on your worlds and kind of what is involved in it here at Datadog. As we know, I feel like recruiting can be kind of an ambiguous career. As Kira said, it's not something that many of us kind of like study in college or learn about out in the real world until we're kind of like in the midst of the role. It has so much of those sales elements that you mentioned, Ryan. So tell me a little bit about a day in your life. What does a day in the world of recruiting for sales at Datadog look like, both for you and your teams? Ryan, do you want to kick it off this time?
Yeah, for sure. The cool thing is that it's never the same thing. You never know what you're going to walk into, but so much of what our recruiting team does is become experts in what's going on in the industry, right? When I talk to people that don't know about recruiting, they sometimes think that the recruiting team sits there and just looks for applications that people, submit on our website. And it's so little of that. It's so much of really understanding the competitive landscape. My team really does a ton of research, reads articles. My team generally will be ahead of the curve when it comes to who's getting acquired, who just took funding, who's doing layoffs, what's going on in the space. And so really a lot of what the team does is obviously talking to a lot of candidates. The commercial sales recruiting team is a high volume team, because within our team is all of our sales development organization, all of our commercial and mid-market sales, and all of our customer success. So within those business lines, there's a lot of candidates in play at any given time. So lots of research, lots of meetings with the sales leadership, lots of feedback, lots of debriefing, and then just lots of team meetings to make sure we're all on the same page in regards to the goals that we're trying to achieve on a quarterly basis.
Definitely. Absolutely. I love that. Kira, I'm sure your world looks very similar, but let me know, is there anything, that is a little bit different? Talk about a little bit about like the enterprise sales profile that you kind of look for. What's a day in your life and your team? And I know that even extends to the EMEA region. So can you talk a little bit about that also?
Sure. So I like to say in recruiting, we are not only, to Ryan's point, is the day never boring, but we are oscillating between being sellers and marketers and relationship builders and advisors, and knowing when to play each role is fairly key. On the hiring manager front, we could be consulting a hiring manager on recruiting best practices or conducting an intake for a new role, navigating market challenges, strategizing, on a way to tweak an interview process, or reflecting on, wins that we've had or losses. So it's hiring manager focused. On the candidate side, we could be, prospecting candidates to help build funnel, or nurturing existing relationships with candidates already in funnel. So recruiters are really there to shepherd candidates through the entire interview cycle, from initial touch point to the day they sign an offer and start with us, and even onwards. And as far as on the enterprise sales side, and the way it might differ slightly is that though the volume is incredibly high, it is very much focused on precision in the way that we go and seek to engage talent. So there are fewer and farther type of the quality of talent that we look for in certain markets. And so we're very much sniper shooting to some degree in what we look for. So the process take a large chunk of our time and our building our networks.
Definitely. And one thing that you touched on that I would love to kind of learn a little bit more about is just kind of like our recruiters' involvement throughout that whole candidate journey. That's something that you touched on, from talking from the very first interview all the way till closing a candidate, hopefully to come join our team here at Datadog. What does the recruiter's role kind of look like in each of those processes? And Kira, I'd love for you to kind of just expand on that, since you touched on it in your wonderful response.
The goal would be for each recruiter at every step to look at, where we are in the funnel, where candidates are in their own journey as well, and exploring other opportunities, where they are in competing against the current role that they're in at the moment, and continuing to have very open and often challenging dialogue around that as well. So in, mid stages, for example, we're typically talking through, all that's involved in making a career move. To what degree have they themselves, gotten over the cognitive hurdle of making a move from where they are currently, and then also what it looks like to be here. And we're typically calling that out at the beginning and all the way through towards the end, in order to have a candidate feel very comfortable in joining us.
I love that. And I think that what so many people forget is that the candidate journey is really a two-way street. It's as much like as much as we're looking for great talent to join our team, we hope to be the right company for that talent. And sometimes that relationship just isn't there. And that's what our teams are here to do. Is I like to call us career cupids or career matchmakers, and just really just making sure that we're presenting an opportunity that's going to fit with the candidate as much as they're going to be a great asset here for us. Just to switch gears a little bit, one thing that as a company we've really been focusing on is just how we can move the needle in the tech space in terms of diversity and inclusion and make sure that we're really building a diverse, happy, healthy team of all different backgrounds across all departments here at Datadog. And so Ryan, I'd love to hear a little bit about how we're leaning into diversity and inclusion as a recruiting team to ensure that we're attracting and hiring talent from all backgrounds to help really move that needle in the tech space.
Absolutely. That's a great question. And it's something that's very near and dear to my heart and to my team's heart. I think what's key in regards to diversity is making it a priority and not just at one period, at one point, it's at all times. We really have a focus, goals, OKRs, really based on diversity, not only just in gender diversity, but in ethnic diversity, veterans, LGBTQ. So really there is a massive push across and lots of conversations around it. How do we diversify all the different sales organizations within Datadog? And we've really solidified some solid partnerships. Most recently, we solidified a partnership with WISE, which is Women in Sales Everywhere. Really, their main focus is to get up and coming women who are in sales who aspire to be sales leaders. We have partnered with organizations like Breakline to go after veterans. We've partnered with organizations like Out in Tech. We've partnered with a number of organizations to allow us to be able to tap into talent. So it really is multi-pronged approach and a constant focus and analysis and following through and following up on those areas to make sure that we're not taking our eye off the ball.
I love that. And I know Kira and I have been working tirelessly and with a great partnership with Power to Fly. And so we have had some really great success with them also. And so we're just so excited to kind of continue exploring and expanding our own diversity profile and just making sure that we're getting in front of candidates who we wouldn't have been able to get in front of, I think, even, a few years ago. So we're excited to continue kind of building on these partnerships. And with that, I would love to segue into kind of our two final questions for you two. First off, what do you find most rewarding about working here at Datadog? Kira, I will kick it off with you this time.
Sure. So I would say it's a no-brainer. So definitely my recruiting team above all else. They're truly the greatest, and I'm grateful for each and every one of them. I think the piece I am most grateful for, I would say, is the ability to find a way to smile and even laugh our way through frustrating situations. So recruiting will always have its highs and lows. Anyone who tells you otherwise is probably hasn't recruited in the right way. And it's all about how you respond to those alongside your peers, in my opinion, that makes it most rewarding. So
I love that. Ryan, on to you. What do you find the most rewarding about working here at Datadog?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to echo Kira. Like, I love my team, but I really love the team sport mentality, right? So much of what we do is collaborative, right? Not only does my team meet and talk about our goals and talk about our objectives on a regular basis, but my leadership tier, right? Myself and Kira and the other leaders, we're a global team. I was on with our recruiting manager in Singapore this morning. We talked to our recruiting manager in Dublin. Every person in the leadership team brings something to the table that we all can bounce ideas off of each other, help each other out through tough situations. And it's fantastic. We are all in this together. And there's an extreme amount of gratitude and not taking this opportunity for granted. We understand that we are in a very unique spot through what's going on in the world today, that we work for an organization that is thriving, is busy, has the ability to give employment to many people, and so we don't take that for granted. So we're on a team that's winning and is working very, very hard toward a common goal.
I couldn't echo or agree more. I think that the people here at Datadog are definitely the most rewarding part. I also love our little now growing dream team as we kind of keep expanding and growing around the world. So little plug before I kind of ask these two their final question, but we are looking to hire people into our intern program, and we will be having some roles opening up on our own team. So be on the lookout on the Datadog careers page just for those opportunities, because we're excited to have some new people kind of join in and learn from and just continue growing at Datadog all over the world. But With that, I have one final question for you too. What advice or tips do you have for candidates who are interested in applying here at Datadog? Ryan, I will kick it off with you first.
I would say definitely do your homework. The Datadog website and career section gives you a great snapshot into what we're actively looking for. But there's going to be so much opportunity here at Datadog in 2021 that even though you may not see the job you're looking for posted now, there's a chance it could be. So I would say network, do your research, and be prepared to really talk about yourself and what you think you could bring to the pack, if you will, here at Datadog.
Absolutely. And Kira, what advice do you have for any candidate interested in applying here at Datadog?
I'll echo what Ryan said about doing your homework. I think one way to continue to figure out how to set yourself apart is simply through adding value. So I think reaching out and figuring out how you connect with someone who you might know through the org is one piece I would give. But the second one would be that it's okay if you're a bit unsure about what you want to do long term. I'd say focus on honing in on your current skill set and where you feel you could bring value. And Datadog is super committed to internal mobility. So if eventually you're looking to potentially get somewhere else or you're not exactly sure, stay curious would be my piece of advice. And where your career might take you would be different than where it started.
I love that. I love the idea of staying curious. We definitely have a healthy appetite for learning and development here at Datadog. And I feel like it's something we're very passionate about is that career development aspect. So with that, Kira and Ryan, thank you so much for joining me today for this episode of Pup Corner and all you do to help our business grow through attracting and hiring top talent here at Datadog. We are actively searching for talented professionals to join us on this rocket ship. As I mentioned, we continue to grow and disrupt the market around the globe. So if you're interested in learning more about our open roles or applying to Datadog, make sure to check out our careers page at datadoghq.com/careers. Thanks so much for watching, and we will be back next time with more about Datadog life around the world. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, Riley.